What's the difference between PPE and conversion campaigns for Facebook ads? Let's find out in this video right now. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jeffrey and I make e-commerce videos, dropshipping videos, entrepreneurship, lifestyle, everything else in between. Now if you like the content, be sure to subscribe and smash that like button down below. And as well, comment down below what you want to see next or what you think of this video. Once we reach 10 comments, I usually will pick one winner and we can go hop on a call or review your store and we can go from there. Now today we want to cover a topic of PPE vs conversion campaigns. Basically this is for Facebook ads and we want to kind of talk about what the difference here is and go into detail about what they are, what they do, and what you should choose at the end of the day. So without further ado, let's get right to the content. Basically, what are these and why you should care? Well, Facebook ads has a lot of campaign objectives when it comes to running your ads. And both of these are actually very common campaign objectives when it comes to dropshipping e-commerce that is set by Facebook. And you can actually choose this kind of objective when you run a campaign with Facebook. And the reason why it's important is because Facebook will actually send you relevant traffic according to what objective you choose. So for example, if you choose a PPE campaign objective, the type of data and the type of audience that you get is going to be a lot different from conversions. And why should I care? Why do you have to care about this? Because as I said before, your traffic is going to differ a lot and that's going to really affect the end result. Basically, what kind of results you get from that campaign, kind of metrics that you'll get and expect, and things like that. So, it's going to differ a lot in quality based on what you've asked Facebook to do. And Facebook is actually very explicit when it comes to what's promised. If you ask them to give you, for example, an audience from the PPE, it's going to differ a lot, and compared to conversion campaigns. So we're going to talk about that later in detail about what these are. So don't worry if you're kind of lost or confused. So, definition of both of these terms. What do these mean? PPE basically means page post engagement, or simply engagement, which Facebook likes to call it in their dashboard and ad manager. So the main purpose is to really create engagement, or as the name suggests, and in other words, get people to really engage with your ad or post. That is sharing, commenting, liking, and things like that. And you have to understand that may not necessarily mean that they have buying intent, because all they really do, their habit is to comment, like, and share. So while this is really important with engagement, it might not actually be your target audience, because at the end of the day, they're just not really jumping to the conclusion of buying, getting the sale, but rather just beating around the bush. Conversion, on the other hand, though, is actually a lot different, because in Facebook's terms, it means you're getting people to take valuable action on your website, apps, or messenger. And they're going to use something like a Facebook pixel to track all the data that you've gathered and gained. Basically, it's getting Facebook to get people to perform action, whether it's buying, or checking out something else, or subscribing, or liking something, or things like that. So it's performing activity over getting people to engage with your content. So right there in itself, you can already see that there's a difference in the quality of people and the intent of people. So with that in mind, I want to ask you a question. What do you think you should go for when it comes to e-commerce when your main objective is to get sales? So just another food for thought for you guys. I just wanted to share as well some myths that are debunked for you right here. And I want to let you know that these are not necessarily true and that you shouldn't listen to people who say otherwise. So the first one is that people think they need to warm up the pixel using PPE, page post engagement, in order to know which customers are most likely interested. While PPE is useful for getting information out there on your potential audience and your creatives that you use, which we'll talk about later on, PPE isn't a must, and you shouldn't treat it as though it's needed for you to run a campaign and get sales. Another one is that PPE is a way to test products and the market to see if it's winner. Again, not very true because you don't need PPE to know whether something is a winner or not. And third one is conversion campaigns are only useful once you have data. And although PPE is going to help you with finding the correct audience and testing which creatives is better, which we'll talk about later, it's not necessarily true that you have to have data in order for conversion campaigns to be effective. The last one here is conversion campaigns and PPE yield the same results, and this is not true at all because of the things I just mentioned before. How the quality of people and the pocket of people are extremely different based on what objective you choose for Facebook's campaigns. So these are all not true. Some common strategies actually for PPE include collecting cheap data using that and collecting enough data to create lookalike audiences to start testing. Basically, I'm just mentioning this to give you an idea of what people actually use PPE for and what you can actually use. These aren't really myths, but actually, I guess, proven strategies that can work if you really want to decide to use them. Another one is that you can use it to test different creatives on the ad level, and to really see which ad that you're testing outperforms others, and really use that creative for your main conversion campaigns, which is the campaign you use to get sales. The last one here is to see which countries perform the best or react the best. Now, it's not always used that often, but it can be used or can be valuable if you're doing something like a worldwide targeting and you want to see which audience is kind of working best or in your favor, so you can later on either create lookalikes or kind of see which countries are working the best so you can target that particular country. But usually, in most cases, United States tends to work the best because, first of all, it is a tier 1 country, and second of all, it is one of the biggest countries to target, so if not the biggest country to target. So there you go. While these are useful strategies, it's not really mandatory, so I'm just kind of giving you this to give you an idea of how people utilize PPE and how you can do the same. But the bottom line here is strategies are not really set in stone, and there are actually many ways to reach the same goal, which is sales. So while PPE can work for you, it's not mandatory, and just because it works for a strategy works for someone else doesn't mean you should use it or adopt it, because that isn't the only strategy that you can use. So I just want you to understand that as well. So we want to, again, after all that said, we want to check the ad manager itself and really apply it yourself to see, to really understand how you can do it yourself in your ad manager and your store. So let's go to my dummy store right here, which is example. We're going to be creating an ad. What we're going to be looking at specifically is the two that we just talked about, which is engagement and conversions. So for engagement, you want to see what it actually means, what the very definition is for each of them. So I just want to get into detail. So post engagement basically means that you're getting more people to see and engage with your post or page. Engagement can include comments, likes, shares, event responses, and offer claims. So basically, you're just getting more people to engage, comment on your things, your posts or your ads, and not necessarily taking an action or performing an action. So with that in mind, it might be different from your end goal, which is sales. So with that said, PPE might not be the best option for you. So if you're not really sure, kind of read over the definition of what these mean and kind of go off from your gut feeling and what you think is best for your store. So conversion, on the other hand, is going to be get people to take valuable action on your website, app, or messenger, such as adding payment info, which is what you want, of course, because you're getting sales, or making a purchase, which is the end goal, of course. So they can use something like the Facebook Pixel or app events to track and measure conversions, which is what you want because you need that kind of data to create, retargeting audiences and lookalike audiences, and getting more warm traffic to your store as well. So this is basically going to be when you create an ad, this is going to pop up. So have a read over these. You can actually go over the information mark right here, which is going to be basically a summarized explanation of what these mean. So for example, drive valuable actions on your website, app, or messenger for conversions, and get more post engagements, page likes, event responses, or offer claims for engagement. These other ones called lead generation traffic, but we don't really need those, especially when it comes to e-coms. If you're running a lead generation marketing agency, then lead generation is probably the way to go. But other than that, you don't really need anything else apart from maybe traffic, engagement, and conversions. And traffic is basically going to be just send people to a destination on or off Facebook such your website. So you're getting Facebook to really send as much traffic as possible to your website. So not necessarily the most important, and something we'll talk about in other videos. So beyond the scope of what we're going to talk about here. So let's go back. So basically my verdict is that Facebook is useful for collecting valuable data on your future conversion campaigns and the audience that you want to target, but it's not necessarily mandatory. It's really up to you at the end of the day whether you want to use it or not, because of the explanations provided just now. And it really depends on your objectives and how much money you have, of course, because you are going to be spending more on PPE on top of your conversion campaigns. So it's really up to you if you want to decide to do it or not. But my verdict is that you don't really need it, and it's really used for additional data that you are going to collect that is that's going to be insightful for your future sales campaigns, which is conversion campaigns. If your objective is sales, then go with conversions, because PPE most likely will not give you the sales you want. Obviously, sometimes you can get lucky and find a good pocket of people who will actually likely buy your product. You get a few here and there, but nothing is going to be major, and that's for sure. And again, it really depends on your budget and how you want to approach it. There are different strategies out there, but I already highlighted the different ways you could use PPE. But basically, it's not a must, and it's only used for valuable insight and data that you could use later for ultimately the conversion campaigns. So anyway, this is just a step-by-step guide, an in-depth guide on the difference between PPE and conversion campaigns. As I see people, some people are kind of not understanding the difference between these two, and using the wrong campaigns objectives on Facebook, and they're wondering why they're not getting sales. So I just wanted to make this video to clarify you guys, even if you already know the big difference, this big difference is still valuable to know and acknowledge, because it's really going to help you down the line and make you figure out what kind of objective are you actually looking for, and what's your goal for e-commerce and dropshipping. So that's about it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I hope you got some value. Be sure to subscribe if you're new here. Again, comment down below what you want to see. Smash that like button, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care.